Hello and welcome to the I Am Woman project, where every week we have deep, thought-provoking and interesting conversations with thought leaders, change instigators, rule breakers and creative minds who think differently, sparking creativity and inspiration. Our special guests on our show cover a variety of topics just for you, and they share their personal stories to inspire, motivate and empower you, our listener. The I Am Woman podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at www.catherineplano.com. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favourite RSS feed or iTunes. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get into the show. We have the lovely Danielle Price for you today, wife and mum of two. Danielle Price is the founder of She Will Shine, offering women practical ways to improve their day-to-day business life. After experiencing feelings of loneliness, frustration and guilt from being unsure of what she was looking for, but knowing she needed to do something, Danielle discovered the importance of coming together with like-minded women in business. It all began when Danielle left the corporate world in search of career flexibility. As a graphic designer, agency hours were far from family friendly, so she made the decision to start her own business from home. Danielle's motto is "Do what makes you happy." I'm sure you are going to love the honest chat with Danielle Price. Let's tune in. Welcome, Danielle, to the I Am Woman podcast series.
Thank you, Sonia. It's great to be here.
How are you today?
I'm really well. I was looking forward to chatting to you, so I'm looking forward to it.
For those of our listeners who are not familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yep. So I've created a women in business community called She Will Shine. And we're very much about, we're a membership-based community, and we're very much about coming together so that we can all do really well together, so that we all shine together. So we provide workshops, accountability sessions, co-working, things like that, where our members and non-members are able to come together and help each other to do better within all of our businesses.
So how did you come up with this concept? What sort of led to the development of She Will Shine?
It's a funny story. It goes on for a little bit, but I'll try my best to shorten it.
Tell us the full story.
So I started, I'm a graphic designer. I'm graphic designer trained, and so I started my own business from home when I knew I wanted to start a family. As I was working in an agency and the hours were ridiculous and there was no way I'd be able to have kids with that sort of stuff going on. So I started my business from home, and over time I didn't advertise, so it was all word of mouth. And so, of course, my friends would tell their friends. So I was therefore working with a lot of women, a lot of them were mothers, and we would work really well together. So, we'd actually understand each other, and it would lead to really great project results. So then I needed to find a web developer to help me with my business, and I wanted to have that same relationship that I was having with my clients. That's what I wanted from my supplier.
Yes.
So I was trying to find another mum in business to help me, and I couldn't find one. I thought, this is ridiculous. There could be someone down my street working in their back room like I was at the time, and I wouldn't know it. And so I started an online directory for mums in business called Clever Mama.
Right.
So it's quite a long story. So from Clever Mama, it was an online directory, but I was kind of finding that I would be contacted by all the women who would, list their businesses on there, but they weren't necessarily meeting each other.
Okay.
So then from there, I started running networking events.
Yes.
And over time, I was doing the design stuff at the same time, but then over time, I wasn't enjoying the design anymore. I was enjoying the other stuff, so I stopped doing the design, and I would meet women who weren't mums who wanted to join be online with us. And because my niche was mums in business, I sort of struggled with that for a while. What can I do? I'm not, I don't know about this. And then I went back to my members and I said, I'm thinking of opening it up to non-mums and also changing the name, because the name was Clever Mama at the time. And they were all like, yep, I think each and every one of them replied, yep, I love it, great, do it. And I'm like, here I was worrying about this for 6 months. All I needed to do was ask the question. And, so that's when She Will Shine came about. So that came about that launched in September of last year, September 2014. And from there, I just taken out an office space to run sessions. So I really just stepped it up stepped up a bit, quite big, and went to an office, started running workshops as well. Like the networking events were just one factor. So that's when we started offering the insight sessions, the accountability sessions, co-working, etc., etc. So that's kind of where we come to today. So I told you it's a bit long, isn't it?
No, that's a great story. And now do you have a national base, or are you very much focused in Victoria?
Well, we are Melbourne-based, but we're offering more things that are able to be done virtually, like our accountability sessions we now do virtually over video conference. So we do have a far and away membership packages for people who can't get to the sessions in person, but are able to take advantage of the online resources that we have.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you say about harnessing technology in that way, because I work from home, and I know a number of other women who do. It opens up that whole debate about corporate Australia not being flexible. That they talk the talk, but they're just not flexible enough for mums.
That's right.
And so what we end up doing is we take those skills that we've got and we create our own thing. And Australia is becoming more and more not just a business, not just a nation of small business, but a nation of entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Everyone has a kind of entrepreneurial spirit inside. It's funny. I was the person I never wanted to run my own business. But then because of circumstances, I kind of started on this journey, and then it's like, oh, I really love this and I want more from it. And it's kind of just kept going and going.
And now you've ended up in a different place from your original skill set anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. That's all about the journey. It's all about the journey.
How long has it taken you to get She Will Shine to this point? You've been doing it for 2 or 3 years now?
Well, She Will Shine was launched September 2014, so we're just coming up for 1 year with She Will Shine. But in its entire, as Clever Mama was going for 3 years prior to that. So 4 years in this industry, I guess you'd say, but I was running my business for another 3, like my graphic design business for 3 years prior to that.
Do you find... I know that you love what you do, and you obviously sound very, very passionate about it. Do you find that even though you're probably working more than you did as a graphic designer, because you live it, because it almost becomes a lifestyle because you love it so much, you find you have a lot more flexibility, or you're still working horrendous hours and trying to manage that?
No, I think over time I've learnt how to put barriers around when I do and don't work. So therefore, like, I have days when I'm home with my kids, and on those days, I will look at an email if it comes through on my phone, but I don't. If it's something that I need to get on my computer, I say, oh, well, that can wait till tomorrow when I'm actually working. So I won't turn on my laptop when I'm around my kids. Mm-hmm. So I'm much more focused, because I was getting very frustrated trying to work and look after my kids at the same time, and the kids would be neglected. I'd feel terrible, and the work that came out at that time wasn't up to my standard.
Yes.
Like, this isn't working for anybody. So that's when I started putting those the limitations around when I am and when I'm not working.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, at times it can be frustrating if I've got something urgent I need to do, but you just learn. It's always going to be a challenge, having children around and working and trying to be flexible and all that kind of stuff. But it's worth it. It's worth those little challenges that pop up from now and then, because the benefit, I can take my kids to school whenever I want. I can pick them up whenever I want. If they've got something special on, I can go and help at school. That kind of thing.
Yes.
It's worth it. It's like, there's nothing that I will take away from that.
Yes. So, and what about, I know we've had to reschedule this interview a couple of times because of children being sick and various other circumstances. And as a mum working from home, there are still those days when it just all hits the roof and you go, right, so there's my day, and now I have now I have to rethink the whole thing.
Yes.
How do you find yourself coping with those moments? Do you have good backup in situations like that, or do you?
I have very good support from my mum. Looks after my kids when I'm working.
Wonderful.
So I'm very lucky. I know that people with childcare, it's not easy to get an extra day here and there. Whereas with me, I just ring up mum and most of the time she can do it, so it's not that it's too difficult. So I think because of that, I'm able to, mix things up a bit and not get too bogged down in the stuff that sometimes comes up.
Yes. And how do you sort of deal with the stresses? Because there are stresses of doing, running your own business, running a family, small children. There's,
yes.
There's a number of stresses that come with that. How do you? What's your secret tip? I guess. What's your strategy for dealing with those?
Well, it's hard because it changes. I used to I won't say used to because I'm off and on meditation.
Yes, sure.
Off and on, and I've got my books there, but it's it's an ongoing challenge. The nights that I can meditate and sort of just take that little bit of time for myself. But I'm actually really lucky in what I do because my members, we're all in exactly the same position, and we have an online support group when if you're having a bad day or whatever, you can go in there and share or vent or whatever you need to do. And it's amazing the support and response you get from the people that are in there. So I think I'm lucky in that I have lots of people to turn to who completely understand what I'm going through.
Yes, yeah. So with the benefit of hindsight on this journey, is there anything that you would have done differently?
I don't think so. It's funny because I didn't know where I was going when I started my journey, and I think the experiences that I've had along the way have brought me to where I am now. Someone once told me that when you're unsure what to do, when these sort of things come up, you just got to ask yourself if you're acting out of fear or out of love. When those big, especially business decisions, that it's like, oh God, do I spend X amount of money for this, or those sort of big questions that come up. You just got to think if it's coming from from love, then it's the right thing to do. But if you're just acting out of fear, then it's not what you should be doing.
I think that's a real gem of a piece of advice. That just simplifies everything, doesn't it?
I know, yeah, and yes, with big business, but I also use that personally. It's one of those things that I think will always stay with me.
I think that's lovely. Me too now.
Oh, good. I'm glad I shared my wisdom.
What's perhaps the greatest lesson you've learnt along the way?
This is a tough one. I guess not everyone that I started with on my business journey has stayed with me along my business journey. And at the time I might have thought, I'm losing that friendship or that relationship kind of thing. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. People will come in and out of your life because, through life as well as through business, people come in and out, of your life. And it's, sometimes it's just time to move on.
Yes. Have you had particular inspiration, someone who's been an influence or a motivator or a mentor for you?
Well, for me, it would be the women that I work with, like my members in my community, because I'm seeing what they do. It's a circle. We're watching each other, we're helping each other, and we're seeing the rewards that come from that. So just watching them on their journey is helping me on my journey every day. Like seeing what they can achieve. So the whole if she can, I can.
Yes.
That and seeing other women doing that and shining, it's like, well, I can do that, and that's what I'm hoping that I'm able to do for other women as well.
And amongst the women at your networking groups, is there a sense of shared empathy and support, or is there an edge of competitiveness?
Oh, no, there's no competitiveness at all. It's very much support based,
yes,
and collaboration based. Yes. I always say to people when I meet them that. Yes, we may have members that, work in the same industry, but no one does their job quite like you or quite like that because we've all got our own ways of doing things.
Yes.
And so I just don't understand people's mentality when it's like, oh my gosh, I can't go there because there's someone else who does what I do. It's like, well, yeah, they might do something similar, but what if a job comes through to them that they're unable to help? Why can't they refer that on to you, and vice versa? If you can help each other out, especially as a mum, when things do happen to pop up unexpectedly, if you can help each other out, then that's fantastic.
Yes, I know. I absolutely agree. And I think one of the most powerful things is actually learning from other people's experiences and other people's stories.
That's right.
There might be pitfalls that you might be able to avoid yourself, or you find yourself in a very similar situation and unsure how to get out of it, and then somebody will say, oh, well, this happened to me and I did X, and you think, right, that really doesn't apply. Or, hey, what a great idea. I never thought of that. So you're women only?
Yes.
For the particular reason that you started out as a mum's group, or because you feel, is there a reason that there's no men?
I've never even thought about having men in that. Well, the very thing about She Will Shine is that it's built of like-minded women.
Yep.
So it's people who have the same values. They're all very passionate, very determined about what they're wanting to achieve. And I haven't really, it's not that I've aimed to exclude men, but it's just that I've come from the point where, well, of course, it's come from a mumming business, and no one understands a mumming business like another mumming business. That's where it all began. Yeah. And even with, like, since opening it up to all women in business, even if you're not a mother, you have the same issues around business and home life as you do not as a mother. Sorry, you know what I mean, like both ways.
Absolutely. I think you've nailed it right there. I think, by and large, without this becoming a feminist issue, I think by and large women are still doing the bulk of the housework, whether or not they have kids, whether or not they're working. Often caring for elderly relatives or, sick relatives as well. We tend to have a bit more on our plate, I think, than men. But I also think that the crux of it sometimes for me is that my husband's incredibly good at compartmentalising things, whereas mine often just seems like a great big jumble, and that'll get done right now, and then that'll get done in a minute, and whereas he's very good at parking different time for different things, and my life doesn't seem to work in that sort of linear way.
I think for men it's a bit more black and white, whereas it's sort of grey.
Yeah, we think differently. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, isn't that what they say?
It's true, but that's also the way we do business is different than men. Not that saying that the way men do business is wrong or the way we do business is right. It's just different.
Yes.
Well, we should be able to embrace the way we're doing business and still build businesses, successful businesses doing it that way.
Yeah. I noticed in some of the notes about you that you say that you have been influenced by Richard Branson, who I also admire phenomenally. Yeah. Who else has influenced you?
There's always Janine Ellis and Naomi Simpson, who have done amazing things here in Australia, but my greatest influence has been my mum, just the way she's shaped who I am today, and she continues to support me no matter what. And I think that's something that will stay with me forever. Business or no business, that's just who I am.
You are a product of your mum.
That's right, I am. She'd love to hear that.
What advice, looking back, not just over the She Will Shine journey, but over the years, Danielle, what advice would you give your younger self now, turning around, looking at maybe that angsty teenager or that overconfident 20-year-old? What advice would you give her?
Looking back, I think it would be to be prepared for some personal development on your journey. I was never the sort of person that would read a self-help book, way back when. But now I love that sort of stuff. So it's funny what doors open as you get older. I don't know. I feel old now. But
do you think it's motherhood that's changed that aspect for you?
Possibly. I think I'm far more determined than what I was before. Like I said, I never had any intentions to start a business, and then it all kind of just happened. But now that I am where I am, I know what I want and I'm going for it.
Yes.
So I think because of that, I've had to sort of look within me and sort of see what qualities I have that can help me on that journey.
Do you have a business coach of your own or a personal mentor, someone you work with regularly?
I have on again, off again, just various people along the journey. Right now I don't. But I also find that's the thing, the ladies, the women that are here in my community are just amazing. So we're often...
You've got a sounding board,
a
regular sounding board.
That's exactly right. I feel like I don't have to be sitting at home or sitting here in the office wondering about something. If I've got a question, I can just put it out there and sort of get some feedback, and, you have your own little... your own little boardroom with your own, board members sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And that's that,
Yeah, and I think, for a lot of solopreneurs who are at home alone, you do have a tendency to spend a lot of time in your head because you have the capacity and the time. And the value of actually having a brains trust or a board or a group of people that you can talk over things with is invaluable.
Yeah.
From perhaps a problem with a client or a problem with pricing or from anything.
Yeah. And I know, like, my husband's a fantastic sounding board for anything, but he doesn't quite understand everything that's involved in running a business.
Yes.
So it's nice to have someone I can turn to that completely understands.
And I think the other point too is often it's easy to go to your friends and your family, but they are tainted by that love for you. They're not necessarily going to give you an objective answer.
That's true.
The hard answer that might not be the one that you want to hear.
You want to hear. That's right. Very true, Sonia.
What sort of 3 golden nuggets of advice can you give the ladies who will be listening to this about starting their own journeys?
I'd have to say stay true to who you are is probably a big one. I know in business you can have so many people say, oh, you should do this or you should do that, you should do that. But if it doesn't align with what your values are and what you want, then it's not always, you don't have to say yes to everything, I guess. The other thing, which is why the whole reason I've created She'll Shine, is to surround yourself with people who believe in you, because they're always going to lift you higher. Probably the third thing is just go out there. Now's your time to shine. As I say, don't be afraid. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. Well, it wasn't working when you weren't doing anything anyway. So just to do it. Get people around you who are going to believe in you and going to lift you up, and go out there and do what you want to do.
Oh, I think that's wonderful advice for all of us. Seize the moment. Seize the day.
Exactly.
Danielle, it's been lovely talking to you. Just before I wrap this up, I want to ask, how can listeners what's the best way to get in contact with you if people want to reach out to you offline?
Yes. Well, our website is just shewillshine.com.au. So they can jump on there. If you just want to email me, they can just email me at hello@shewillshine.com.au. I'm always open to have a chat with anybody, so more than welcome to do so.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, Danielle.
Thanks so much, Sonia. It's been a pleasure.
That brings us to the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed the show, as it is my mission to reach out and inspire as many individuals like you. And one of the best ways to help us achieve this goal is by giving us a good review on iTunes. It's easy and it only takes about 10 seconds. If you have any questions or special guests that you would like to hear from, please send us an email to support@catherineplano.com.au and we will get right back to you. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook @Catherine Plano. That's it for now. Thanks for listening. Until next week, please take care.